Hello everybody, welcome to High Tech Rec. Today we're going to have a unique build which is going to be consisting of two systems in one case, and those two systems are the ROG Dominus Extreme C621 by Asus and the Behemoth Aorus C621 Extreme by Gigabyte. Both of these systems are going to be put into one case, which will be the Thermaltake Core WP200, which is obviously a mammoth of a case. So I'll explain to you a little bit more as we go throughout the build, and I'll make a few comparisons to one of the big cases I have, which is the Corsair 1000D Obsidian. And a few other things that we'll go through. Will be hopefully fun, and hopefully you guys will like it. Alright, thanks. So as we can see, the Xeon, dual Xeons that are going to be used in this dual build. The Borg56, 56 obviously meaning the 228 cores that's going to be in this motherboard. Hope you guys can see it right there, and it's going to be in that motherboard. And here are a few extra parts that are also going to be part of the build as well. This included with the next few clips I also show you. We got 10 WD Black Editions SN750s, so 1 terabyte each. That's going to go into the build. You're talking 10 of them. That's going to be between the C drive and between the cache. So about 8 of them are going to be used for cache. Both, one for the Asus motherboard, Dominus, and the other one for the Aorus Xtreme as well. It's going to be a cache as in the form of a PCIe card. So yeah, there you have it. Alright, would you look at that? The rest of the fans and the fan controllers also arrived. Bang 'em, bang 'em, bang 'em. Yeah. So, I hope that the number of fan controllers control the number of fans I got in that crazy case of mine. Let's see. Alright everybody, so there is the Corsair set or system set. Basically it contains all the fans that are going to be used in the case, along with LED commanders and also fan commanders as well, which are there. I got 2 more which I've actually opened, so I don't have the boxes for them. And then you've got the LEDs strips over there on the left and on the right, and in the center the IQ LS100 are the newer versions, so it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of mixes up. I'm going to kind of like put a couple between the monitor and then some behind the table. Let's see, I'm trying to do a whole shebang, you can say. Then you got the 120 QL RGBs along with the QL 140 RGBs, which are going to be throughout the case. So yeah, let's see how she looks. Alright, so this is going to definitely be a unique build, guys. Here you're going to have the Thermaltake Core W200, and in this case it would be the Core WP200, because it's going to be 2 chassis put together to make one enormous build. And it's going to consist of 2 systems. One is going to be the Aorus Xtreme C621 by Gigabyte, and the other is going to be the ROG Dominus Extreme by Asus. Both behemoths. One is a 14 by 14 inch motherboard, and the other is a 16 by, give or take, 15 inches, right? You're talking what? Your standard EATX, or say your ATX is 12 by 9.6, and your EATX is 12 by 13. when these guys, the Dominus is 14 by 14, and the Gigabyte Aorus is bigger than that. So this is definitely going to be something interesting. I don't know if this case can handle that. Now this build is going to consist of 4,000 watts Corsair HX 1000s, 2 on each system. So yeah, that's going to be pretty crazy. Excuse the mess. This is all the parts that are going to be used on the system. I just finished opening them up and trying to figure out what goes where. You can see RAMs, you can see the 2080 Titan Founders Edition, and so on and so forth. So yeah, let's get it started. So as you can see, both parts are done. The W200 and the P200 both completed. I haven't put on I did fit the panels on, so they work. They just want to double check that they work fine. They do. But before I go putting on all that stuff, I want to try and get in the motherboard, because that's going to need a little bit of work. And then I may need to do some motdifications to get the power supply, because the Dominus, you know, it's not your regular board, and because of that, it touches the power supply. So I may need to do some modifications on the bottom piece. Let's see, to fit an extra power supply in there. I should say a third one. All right. So now I'm actually working on putting together the motherboard. All right. So this is the case. Looking at it from the back, you've got the left side of the case, and you got the right side, right? So now, I was earlier contemplating which motherboard am I going to put on which side of the case. Now, given that the Dominus is a particular size, I take it as 14 by 14, and the Dominus, which is right there, 14 by 14, and then you've got your Gigabyte Aorus Xtreme C621 is 16 by 15, I take it. So you have to be able to say, all right, which side would fit, you know, best for which motherboard. So initially I was going to put the Gigabyte on the front and the Dominus in the back. But the problem was with that was when you have to put the Dominus upside down, and the VRM section of the Dominus actually interferes with the power supply. So I said, all right, I'll have to put the smaller one of the two, which is the Dominus, in the front, which is on that side, which has got more which has got more space for the motherboard. And that worked out fine. So that was there, which is pretty cool. I tested it; it worked out. Now, the other thing was another issue popped up. Now this is the plate, the back plate for the motherboard with the standoffs on them. You can see the standoffs right there, there and there. You got a few of them, right? Now, obviously, this back plate is not big enough for the Gigabyte. I don't know if you can see that. I don't want to drop it on there, but if I was to just lay it on top, it would give you an idea. There's the back plate, and there is the Gigabyte. You can see you have about almost 4 inches, right? It comes out about 4 inches. Anyway, not a big deal. We'll try and work around that. So my concern wasn't the size. My concern was more of the weight of the Gigabyte Aorus Extreme. The reason why I say that is because on this case, if you look, you got these plastic, hard plastic panels that goes on top, and another one goes here at the bottom, which you screw into the divider between the right and the left side, right? Now the only thing was they're screwed in with 3 screws. One goes here, another one goes here, and another one goes there. And I was kind of worried that, you know, when I'm using the machine, if it starts to heat up, that, I don't know, the plastic may, you know, give out. I'm not too sure about that. And the last thing I want is my you know, $2,000 motherboard to basically fall in the case with everything attached to it. Right? Nobody wants to see that. Maybe in another video. But anyway, hopefully we don't see it. Now, what I decided to do was put some reinforcement in there, which was I used some silicone glue, and I put them in patches, all right, all throughout there, all here. You can see it there as well. So I'll give it 24 hours to dry, and hopefully that acts as a safety mechanism for this piece being held. So what'll end up happening is that you got to take this piece, and then this metal piece, you know, which will act as the back panel of the for the motherboard, that will basically latch onto it. Will go right there, slide right in, and then I'll screw the pieces in, and then there you have it. So it'll sit like that. Alright, so hopefully that works out. Let's see. That's a small modification. I just wanted to show you guys, if any of you decide to get the Thermaltake 200 W. So it's a little modification to keep in mind. Alright. Alright, so it's in the case, and it seems to fit well. It's huge, but we got enough space, hopefully, for the power supply, which is going to go right here. It's going to be tight. You can see that. Look at the line. See the line going right there with it? That's like, it's going to be flush, if not a tight squeeze. So yeah. Alright, so that part's done. Next. Alright. So you set the CPU in place. Yeah, so here I'm using the EK Annihilator Pro CPU water block, which is a narrow fit. This is by EK WB, and I decided to use a different water block. You'll notice this is different than the one that I'm using in the Asus system, the Dominus system. In that one I'm using the EK WB EK Velocity WS workstation, obviously narrow CPU water block, which is full metal. So I want to just have 2 different setups in the system, just to be able to compare them and see, okay, you know, which one does what and how they perform. So keep in mind that these 12 DIMMs are actually 3,200 megahertz at 16 bit, at 16 GBs each, right? So you're talking 192 GBs of 192 GBs of memory on RAM, all at 3,200 megahertz. So it's going to be pretty interesting, because this side is going to be 3,200 megahertz at 16 GB each RAM, and the other side is going to be 16 GB each RAM at 4,000 megahertz. So I'm going to kind of like mix it up a little bit, give it some flavor, like Stephen King writes horror. Okay, so Next, now we need to get the piping, the water cooling system in place. So I'm going to have to take it out of the old system, and which was actually a new system. I never even used it, and I decided to then make this build instead of that build. So I'm going to take a couple of things out of that. So this part is done. Alright, side B is done. Not fully done, but partly done. Now let's get side A to the same par. Alright, now I'm hoping that this build, build A is not going to be as much of an issue, honestly, because I had to build the Gigabyte Extreme on that small little back plate that I had that kind of goes there, which is made for an ATX, you know, let alone an EEAB. It says right here EATX, but you know, when you check the dimensions for an EATX, it's below 13. What is it? 14 by 14, which is the Dominus, and the Aorus Xtreme is even bigger than that, 15 by 16. So, you know, I had to put that on the smaller side, and then I'm putting the, I'm hoping now that we're going to do the Dominus, it's not going to be as bad, because I'll have more space and even better clearance to put the, you know, PSU. So let's see. Alright, let's get started. Now I've heard of many different techniques of putting the thermal paste on. There's the technique of just putting, you know, an X. X marks the spot with a few dots. There's another technique of taking that spreader that comes with the thermal paste and spreading it, you know, across. I tried that technique. I find it's kind of messy when you spread it all over the thermal paste all over the CPU. I find that the X technique and putting a few dots in the middle, or I should say on the sides of the X, and then, you know, once the cold plate squeezes down on it, it kind of makes a natural formation, I feel, personally. X marks the spot with a few dots. Make sure the notches line up with the socket. You'll see the notches, and you'll also see an arrow, which is on this corner right here. That's basically indicated on the plastic holder here. So you want that. These are the 4 screws. They're driven by Allen keys, and these actually they come with the cold plate system that I purchased from EK. Let's go cross section. So I usually start from bottom left, top right, then I'll go to the center left, and center right. I'll just do a little bit at a time. That works for me. And also keep in mind when you're doing this, right? You do the top, the bottom left, or the top right. What you're doing is you got the thermal paste at the bottom of it. So if you squeeze down on one side, it'll push all the thermal paste to the other side, to the opposite side, right? So you want to try and kind of keep it even. That's why you just do a little bit at a time. I try and do like a quarter, or you know, quarter of a turn, half a turn maximum. Alright, these right here are the cache M.2 slots that are going to go here. Each one takes 2 M.2s. So it's going to be one on this side, one on the right, one on the left. So we're going to go with Western Digital Black for this setup. Next we got the G-Skills Royale. So this is the platinum side. So it's going to be the silver look, platinum, I'll call it. Trident Z Royale by G-Skill, 4000 megahertz. You know, I actually figured out a way how to solve the issue of the power supply. Earlier I spoke about modifying the bottom case to handle the fourth power supply, but instead of doing that, I just decided to flip the two motherboards, basically switching sides. So yes, it would need a little modifications, however, on the motherboard section. However, I would still be able to use the original sockets that were intended for the PSUs.
Baba, you want to use this because you got me.
That's about 6 bit.
Alright, I'm doing right now. I'm teaching the little tiny beads. Baba, do you know tiny little beads are like this?
Oh, cool. Tiny little beads.
Baba, something tiny little beads.
But you're the one who taught me how to say that. You first said it. You said you said tiny little beads.
Oh, I'm not singing right now.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not singing, but you're the one who taught me how to say tiny little beads.
Also myself to do that.
Alright guys, seem to have an issue here, and the issue is this. Now it turns out the silicone idea earlier didn't really work. The minute I had let it, dry for about, say, 48 hours, when I tested it, that thing was just like mush. I mean, I just kind of like pushed on it and it just fell apart. So I don't know what I was thinking. I thought that it would do the job. It does work in other situations. However, in this situation, not at all. So I had to devise a whole new plan on how I would get this little plastic piece that's connected with 3 screws, and how it would basically be able to hold up a board as big as the Aorus Gigabyte Extreme, 16 by 15 inches. So here we go. So this plastic piece is all that's basically holding the motherboard on the rear side of the case, right? Because this case basically gives you 2 sides. The front side, basically you get to use this whole panel as a backboard for the motherboard. However, with the back side is different. The back side, they provide you with a separate backboard, which is smaller than obviously the whole, than the front side is, which uses the whole space. And it only consumes about, say, I want to say maybe 9 inches, maybe 9 inches wide. So it probably goes about up to here. I can't show it to you right now because it's actually on the motherboard itself. I had screwed the motherboard in, realizing that this piece that goes right here, right? It basically goes in with with three little screws. So you got one here, one there, and then one there. Now that's not to say that this design doesn't work. It does. It works great for an ATX motherboard, but for this special build that I'm making, which is an XL motherboard, which is actually larger than an XL, because an XL is about, I think, 9 by 12 inches, and the Gigabyte Aorus Xtreme is almost 15 by 16. So give or take. So that with the Titan RXT, this will never hold up. I worry that, because this kind of acts as a latch. So you basically put the motherboard on and it holds on by these two hooks right here. So my worst fear is that you have everything set up, and then after a while it just kind of like gives way, and then this thing will break, and then it will fall. So what I decided to do was reinforce it. So there's a few things I'm going to do. One is I put a piece of wood here, actually, not so much for reinforcement, but to add another piece at the bottom of it, which will act kind of as a support. So that's going to go here. Then I'm going to put some supports on the sides, kind of like you would on a bookshelf, right? And yeah, let's see how that goes. Let's go. All right. So now with this piece, what we're going to do, this right here represents the side that's going to touch the backboard. So it's going to go like that. So then this piece right here is going to go flush with it like that. Okay? It's going to go flush. We'll put glue there and clamp it together. Got to make sure it's flush, because you want it to go, perfectly up against the backboard and not have any space. And we can just basically eye that. So once that's done, once this is in place like this, next step will be to put two supports, one on the right side and the other one on the left side, to act almost like you would on a bookshelf, right? So this way it won't break down. Let's see how that goes. So we're going to use these for supports. All support structure that's going to hold the Aorus C621. Alright guys, I realized something here with these trays. So these are the Thermaltake trays that I'm going to be putting 2 of my hard disks in. So I'm going to be putting these Iron Wolf 10 terabytes. So I'll have a total of 20 terabytes in 3.5 inch hard disk form. I'll have a few SSDs as well, but for right now I'm focusing on trying to get this to fit in the tray. So if you notice, this Iron Wolf is a NAS hard disk, so the screws on the back are a little bit different, and on the sides are a little bit different, I guess, than your typical desktop hard disk. So to try and get this particular hard disk to fit in this tray is not that easy, because of the 4 pins that are right here. So I don't really see, and also you have these 2 pins that are here as well. So you got them on the base, and you got 4 on the walls on the sides. So 2 of them will fit here and here, and that the one on the floor on the base will fit in there. However, the second one on the base won't fit anywhere. There's nowhere for it to fit, right? You can see the design of this NAS hard disk. They're spread out on you can almost say 4 corners, right? These 2 corners here, and then a quarter of the way there. So what we're going to do is a little bit of modifications to that. So let's let's get at it. Nice. Alright, so now the base is 90% done. We put in 4 fans on both sides, followed with an EK radiator, 240 EX, they're extreme versions, so it's extra thick. Put that on both sides, and I figured I'd go with the double instead of the the triple or the quadruple, because I'm only going to be utilizing them for water cooling the CPU, and I ain't doing anything else. So that's gonna, I think that'll suffice. Then you've got the two 1000 HX in place, and you got 6 Corsair at the bottom, at the base, pulling air into the case. So everything right now will be pulling air into the case to make positive pressure, and then that'll be going up further to the next chamber of the case as well. Iron Wolf Pro NAS, 10 terabyte, so that's a total of 20, and then I'll be putting a fan controller here, more for looks than anything else. So it's going to be, it's got that kind of that retro look to it. So I'm going to put that here, but I'm waiting for the brackets to, because you have limited brackets that this system comes with. It has about 3 of them. So I need to order, I ordered a few more, I ordered 3 more. So once that arrives, I'll be putting that piece in here. Then of course the mundane task of cable management. It's going to be crazy. Alright, so now you can see what we've done is we've put the support structures in place, right? Yeah, so we got 1, 2, and 3, and we've clamped them down with epoxy, and yeah, just gotta wait for it to dry. Alright, see you next. Alright, so now you can see we've actually put on the bottom stack, and we've connected it to the top. So you can see that this thing is pretty huge, bigger than any other case I've ever had. You can see right there the front side of it, right? That's it without the facade yet. So on one side we've got the Dominus that we've installed, Extreme by Asus, and on the other side we've got the Gigabyte Aorus Xtreme. Alright, what we got right here is the fan controller by Lamptron. Now this is not something that you really need to have, or I really need to have. It's more for like the aesthetics that it's going to give the machine, So that's the reason why we're going to go with that. It's not going to be there to really use it to control, fans and all that. If it can do some practical, work while it's at it, that's great. But I'm really doing it just for the way it's gonna look. So let's see. Get this sucker open. Okay. Nice box. So then for this Lamptron, you got a power cable, Molex. You've got sensors, right, on the devices that you want to monitor. And then you've got more fan controllers, and then you got Molex power. You got screws to hold in the faceplate. And then you've got the device itself, right there. It's got that old school look to it. You can say it looks like dates back from the 50s, you know, 50s, 60s dial look. I think it's cool. Alright, here I'm going to give a quick demonstration on how the EK leak tester works. You build pressure into the system, then you lock it, and then just sit there for a few seconds and see. It'll tell you immediately if you have a leak or not. So we'll pump that up. Keep that from moving. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll go up to about 0.25 psi. That's enough. I don't want to put too much pressure on the system. So 0.25, lock it. I don't know if you guys can see. Okay, so now, alright, let me zoom in a bit. Hopefully you guys can see that. So you can see it's at 0.25 and it is not moving. So that's great. That gives me an indication that the system is airtight, at least system A, the platinum side. So I've tested the gold side and both sides seem to be doing good. Alright guys, so as you can see, I've already filled in fluid for the gold system. Now we'll fill in the fluid for the platinum system. Alright, so I'm going to take I'm going to put the panels on, so I'm going to take the side stickers off. So you can see inside. That's meshed. Nice. Alright. Now that the system is complete, I wanted to give you guys an idea as to the size difference between Corsair 1000D and the Thermaltake Core W200 dual systems. Comparing these two side by side, you can see that there's definitely a noticeable difference between them. One being much larger than the other, and gives you some idea as to the magnitude of this case. So we are finally done with the Thermaltake Core W200. I should say the WP200, because it consists of the bottom stack and the top stack. So let's have a look here. Alright, we'll open the case. Give you a quick look from the outside right now, behind the glass, showing you the ROG. There you've got the cooling plate by EK water cooling systems, giving you a quick idea of what it looks like from here. Alright, so as we open the case, you can see we've got the 3 optical drives, which are on the top, Blu-ray players, You've got the 12 DIMMs, 4000 megahertz, G skills. You've got the bottom panel, which is dedicated for cooling the radiators, the EX versions of the EK radiators. They're the extra thick ones, I would say they're about 3 inches thick. The fans right there obviously blow cold air into the system, and then you've got the top fans blowing air out of the system. We've got the RTX 2010 2080 Ti Founders Edition, giving you a little bit of idea of the display. ROG Dominus Extreme. I really like that panel. I think it's awesome the way they've designed that. That was actually one of the reasons why I also bought the board. You've got, I really like the way it lights up, even though it's in sleep mode. It's not in sleep mode, it's off, right? And get this piece off right here. Nothing better than a feeling of a new PC. And let's see, what else? So here's the front of the case. There you've got the Lamptron indicators. That's to give it a retro look. I always like to have that there. Here you've got the Blu-ray players by Pioneer, Asus, and LG. Blu-ray. Let's see the next thing. Oh, here's another sticker we forgot to take off. Okay. So let's see here. Let's have a look at the other side of the panel. So here we go. Now this is without the lights on. So I'm going to do a quick take with the lights off, and then I will show you with the lights on. So party off mode, party on mode. This is the gold side, as you can see. You've got 12 DIMMs, G skills, you got the water cooling system, the electricals, obviously, for the fans, the LEDs. And you've obviously seen all this when we were doing the build itself. And this side is identical to the other side with regards to the bottom chamber of cooling. As you can see, I didn't fill up all the fans. I put just the 4 fans to focus on the graphic card and the CPU VRM area. And this, with just this setup, you've got 36 fans to be exact. 36 fans consisting of 120 millimeters and 140 millimeter fans. The bottom case, I take it, just the bottom chamber itself has got 15 fans in it. So here's a front view of the beast at hand. And let's look at it. System A. So here's us lighting up System A. As you can see, right now the lights in the room aren't switched off, so you're seeing this with the effects of the ambient light in the room itself. So I will turn the lights off though, so you can see what it looks like then as well. So this is just System A switched on. This is the Dominus side, obviously, as we talked about earlier. The ROG Dominus Extreme that sports the Xeon W3176X. Yeah, it's got M.2 slots. It's got 2 of them on the right and left of the 12 DIMMs that you see there. And that 12 DIMMs right there is 4000 megahertz that we've spoken about earlier. Total of 192 megabytes. Sorry, what am I saying, megabytes? Gigabytes, right? GBs. And there's your side panel. I'm trying to get a zoom in on it, but it's a bit, the camera angle is kind of funny, so you gotta excuse it. It's running at 36 degrees Celsius right now, 37. So it's pretty good. I mean, it really, the cold plate does an amazing job. The EKW Velocity WS series, narrow CPU water block is awesome. Honestly, it's heavy, but you can see that it's the real deal. And in here you've got the QL series fans set up. As we go down, there's some of the wiring put aside. Those are the 140 millimeter fans that I was talking about earlier. All through the case. There's your RTX 2080 Ti. Just trying to get everything in that you haven't, just in case we missed anything. I put a couple of sensors on the top that'll go to the IQ system from Corsair. Down there you see the PCIe slot as well, which we put in the C drive. There are your QL fans. The top consists of the 120 millimeter fans. It's a total of 4 on one side. We'll look at the bottom chamber. Again, 120 millimeter fans. You see the setup. And what else do we have here? Behind that is the water system that I put in place. So that basically cools side A. So system B, starting that up right now. System B is a little bit more intense. Now that one sports the Gigabyte Aorus Xtreme with the Xeon 28 core processor, right? And here's a side look of it. You can get a good viewpoint. I love the way that looks right there with the reservoirs, right? Looks like they're on fire, or you can see like lava. Anyway, as you can see, the Gigabyte Aorus with the RTX Titan and your 7 PCIe slots that you can use. All that, those are PCIe 3.0s. It's got dual Intel gigabit ports as well. What else am I missing? Anything? I'm sure there's a lot of things I'm missing, but you've got your G-Skill Royales gold plated edition ones there. 16 GBs each, 192 GBs at 3,200 megahertz, right? And what else do we have? There's the 2 reservoirs feeding system A and system B. So if you notice, this section of the system has a lot more fans focusing on it, so it'll should get better cooling in theory, but I'd like to see it once I start using the system more. There's a little glimpse in the back. You can see through the fans, you can see the radiator there that I was talking about earlier, and it gives you a good indication as to the water flow from the bottom chamber to the top chamber, and from the bottom chamber to the side A system and side B system, because they're all kind of intertwined. However, the loops are separate. The loops only meet at the bottom of the chamber when it's time to flush them. As you can see, I also adopted the same method of the C drive right above the graphic card, where the C drive is running off of a PCIe card. So this is a look from side view, stepping back, showing you the front of the case and system A and system B, to give you a good indication of what the Borg56 looks like. If you can see closer up, there's the Q code. I think it reads 40. You know, it's funny, the Q code gave me a lot of issues in the first round with the Dominus. It read 00, meaning that basically 00 is not a good sign. That board turned out to be defective. But anyway, here the Dominus is the Aorus Gigabyte Extreme has got actually 2 Q code readings. You can't really see it clearly behind that wire over there, but you can see the indications of the top portion of it. So it's got two post codes, and yeah, this is an awesome board. I mean, you're talking 15 by 16 inches approximately. I mean, that's bigger than your typical, definitely bigger than your ATX, bigger than your EATX. Your Dominus is about 14 by 14 inches across, and this one's around 15 by 16. So it's an immense board. What else? So yeah, as you can see, the setup, it's pretty intricate, I would say. So there's the Falcon logo, or the fighting bird, I would say. What is that? Team up and fight on. The Gigabyte way. So yeah, this is to give you a good idea on what's on side B, I would say here. All right, here's a view of the Borg56 in the dark. All lights are off, system lights are on. System A and System B, both Dominus and Aorus, or Aorus, however you want to say it, is on. So gives you a bit of the bottom to top look. If you see the top, right now the IQ system for the Corsair is set on default mode. You can set it up any way you want. I really find that it's pretty amazing. It's got a lot of detail in that Corsair system. You can connect the lighting to the temperature of each component, such as your CPU, your PCIe cards, whether it be graphic card or the C drive. What I would like to do eventually is have all these fans connected and performing a particular task, such as keeping particular components cool. And yeah, trying to be as efficient as possible, so you don't have fans just spinning for no reason. Right now, while I've been filming this video and using it in just preliminary stuff, I can say that that huge 28-core Xeon processor on both sides are really doing a good job. I can see that the system is always in the 30s, and when I was reading about these Xeon processors, particularly this W3175X, that it basically gets really hot and all, but I'm not facing those issues. You could say probably it's to do with the EK system there, and obviously the number of fans in this particular case. So there's the system, the black tubing. I really like the setup of the gold and black. So I said, all right, I think it turned out to be pretty good. Those are Pro Mod cablings that I had purchased and set up throughout the entire system. Once again, here's side A in the dark, giving you an idea as to how the RGB setups are. Keep in mind, these are the new QL Corsair fans. If you notice, they are different than the LL fans that were prior to this one. I actually have 6 of the I think they're CL fans, CL Corsair fans. I actually have 6 of them at the bottom. Sorry, did I say CL? I meant LL. LL fans, if I'm not mistaken. And then these are the QL fans that you see right now in front of you. There's a bit of a side view. All right. And bottom chamber. And the side B, the Aorus Xtreme, and the Dominus. look as to what it looks like. Another look on the side A. And yeah, there it is, pretty much in a nutshell. There's a view from front view, bit of a wider angle. And there you have it. Hope you liked it.